All right, I think we should get going. So thanks for joining, everyone. My name is Eben. I am the Senior Partner Success Associate for Smileback here now at ConnectWise. This is our first webinar since joining ConnectWise. But we're still Smileback. We still make the Smileback that you know and love, and we are adding to it all the time. And today we're going to be talking about reporting. This has always been, an important part of Smileback, but it's one where we've made some really big improvements recently. So this is going to be a pretty practical webinar. I'm going to spend quite a lot of time just talking about how to do things inside Smileback. But I've got a chat open, and thanks to Dale, who is calling in from C4 IT. I've also got a Q&A open. So if you have a question at any point, please feel free to make use of the chat or the Q&A. I will answer questions both during the kind of main part of the webinar and also at the end, just whatever's easiest depending on the question and what we're talking about. So the topic today then is about reporting on customer feedback. We'll talk a little bit about why to do that. We'll get into the practicalities of how you can do this inside Smileback, and I'll be giving you a demo of some features. And then we'll talk a bit about how to actually use reporting to help your business. And we'll be looking at quarterly business reviews and also at improving your service. So just to very quickly kind of set the grounds for this webinar, why do we want to report? Why is it even important? Well, data isn't useful until you look at it, right? You can run Smileback, you can send out your surveys, you can get the reviews back from your customers. But if you don't look at that data and you don't do anything with that data, then there won't be any point. So reporting is, simply looking at the data, seeing what you can learn from it and sharing that inside your business. Well, I think what makes reporting, when I think about it, different from simply logging into Smileback and looking is it's doing it with some kind of framework. So consistency is key. And we've actually got an upcoming webinar where we'll be talking about scorecards in particular, but just to cover this very quickly, what we do ourselves is we have a weekly meeting where we look at things like our net CSAT score from the previous week. We look at other types of support metrics like reply time and resolution time. The people who work on sales talk about changes in the pipeline, for example. So we look at certain key bits of information every week and we discuss how are they doing? Are we hitting our targets or not? And if not, why not? And then we repeat a similar process at a monthly level on a monthly time frame as well. So that way you've got a nice, consistent, sensible time periods like weeks, like months, where you can build a habit out of this basically. And it's really important for identifying areas for improvement. Finding out with kind of hard data how things are going in your business, when things aren't going as well as you would like, is so important, because if you know that, then you can work on improving it. And you might know the phrase, what gets measured gets managed, and that's kind of a key idea here. So having said that, I actually want to dive into Smileback itself, and we're going to look at how to create reports in Smileback, both kind of one-off and also scheduled reports. So these are quite new features. These were released in January. As I say, we've had reporting options in Smileback for many years, but we gave it a very, very kind of major revamp recently. So having said that, I'm going to just stop sharing for a second. I'm going to switch over from this presentation to the Smileback app. Okay, so here we are now. Southwest IT is our sort of imaginary MSP. It does like many MSPs, it's got different clients. They work on tickets with those clients. They work on projects, they provide managed services, and they collect reviews, both CSAT, which is ticket by ticket. That's the one that all Smileback users are using. And they also do Net Promoter Score, which is that other type of survey, which an increasing amount of you are using. And this view you may be familiar with. This is a dashboard that we've had for several years now, which gives you a kind of an overview of CSAT. You've then got the reviews page where you get more of the detail of your CSAT reviews. And then you've got the NPS responses where you can look at the details of your NPS responses. And these are, these are all great. These are useful parts of the app. These are good for coming in and, either just looking at what's coming in, most recent reviews on the top, and getting older as they go down the page. You can use the filters and other options to kind of dig in. But what I'm going to focus on talking about is this reporting section. So here on the left hand of the page, you've got these icons, and reporting is the one in the middle. And you may have come here in the past. You may have even used our client reports in the past, which are PDF reports. And that sort of functionality is still in here, but we've improved it a lot. And just to quickly talk about the other tabs at the top here, we've got the performance view. So this is where you can basically see leaderboards, for example, looking at the most or least satisfied clients. You can have a look at your agents, who's doing best and worst in terms of CSAT. And there's also the peer leaderboard, which is a feature that's only, which is used for peer groups. So if you're in an IT Nation Evolve group, or a True Profit group or something of that nature, you may have access to this. If you're in that kind of group and you're thinking, I don't have this, I've never seen this, just drop us an email, send an email to help@smileback.com and say, I'm in a peer group, here's the name or the number, and we'll get back to you with more information. But to concentrate on the main thing for today then, this new reports page here. So what this lets you do is create PDF reports. They contain information, on the reviews, along with the kind of top line metrics, and then information from individual reviews where people have left comments. And I'll show you what that looks in a moment, what it looks like in a moment. But you'll see the first thing here is report type. So this is basically, it's all using the same data, but this is how is that data grouped? Are you going to do it client by client? And as you can see here, we have a list of companies. Are you going to do it by agent? You might call them resources or techs, but basically the people actually working in your team on your support tickets. And then you can do it by segments. So if you use ConnectWise Manage, the segments are your boards. For other PSAs like Autotask, Zendesk, it's usually ticket type. But we'll go ahead and we'll look at agents here. So the good thing about this is obviously if you're in the business of doing long-term managed support for clients, having these company level contracts is obviously the kind of bread and butter of your business. Of course, there are different individuals in there. And this view then lets you see the details about particular clients. And what I'll do is I'll show you how to make a one-off, and that will also give us a chance to look at this PDF report that I keep talking about. So I'm just going to make one for Adaptabiz here. And I'll just go ahead and do one that has CSAT specific information. So you can brand this and you can select the logos that you've uploaded to Smileback. You can match the color to your brand color. As you can see, this is orange to go with the orange we use inside the app, but you can of course change that. And then you'll see in this gray box down here, we have two options. So generating a one-time report means just give me a report right now for the client or clients I selected and for the time frame I selected. So we'll do one for the last 90 days. And as you can see, it generates a report, and then after a second, it gives you the option to download it. And I've got it open here in the browser, so hopefully you can all see the same thing I'm looking at. And as you can see, we've now got a PDF. And we've got the name of the client at the top, the time frame that was selected, last 9 days, and then we've got the key CSAT metrics. So what was their overall net CSAT score? What is the breakdown of the different types of responses inside there? And then just the amount of reviews and response rate. And then underneath that, as you can see, we have some individual reviews. Specifically, as it says, these are the ones with comments. And there you can just see who is the individual, what did they say? What ticket were they responding to? If you had more, it would, of course, run down to other pages. If you do a group of them, so for example, you want to make it for all of your clients at once, you can click to bring them all over. There's, of course, a search bar. You can scroll down and select more than one, but not all of them with the single arrow there. And if you do that, basically, it will create you, rather than just giving you one PDF, it'll give you a zip file with a group of them in. And if you ever use our old client reports feature, that's basically what they did. We've just redesigned the look of the report. So some of you may be familiar with this already. You may have made these kind of reports in the past. But the thing that we added most recently then, and we added because people are asking for it, this was a very popular request from people. So do send in those suggestions. I can't guarantee we'll make everything that people suggest. Sometimes it doesn't fit with what we're doing. Can't necessarily guarantee we'll do it right away because we always have a list of things that we're working through. We're always busy. But if it's a good idea, if it fits, we may already have it on our to-do list anyway, but getting more requests for the same thing lets us know, like, well, maybe we should bring this forward. And we do get brand new ideas from our customers that we end up making. And this possibility to make scheduled or automated reports, this came from you, from our partners. So I'm really glad that we were able to add it and meet that request that we'd had several times. So what this lets you do then is set up reports to be created on a regular basis. That might be internal. So as I said, if you do a weekly meeting where you review CSAT scores, or a monthly meeting, you can create it for that purpose. Or if you do quarterly business reviews or some other kind of client meeting that happens on a regular schedule, once a year, twice a year, 4 times a year, this can help you save a lot of time. And we'll talk a bit more about QBRs afterwards. So as you can see here at the bottom of the page, I've actually got a couple that I set up already. So as you can see, I've grouped together some different clients and we're sending them to different email addresses on a monthly basis. So imagine that these are 2 different account managers who have responsibility for a particular, set of your clients. Then they are going to get these reports automatically sent to them at the beginning of each month. But just, it saves them a bit of work, and it means it gets done consistently. But I'll show you what it's like to make a weekly report. So let's change from client reports and we'll do it for agents instead. And what I'm going to do then is I'm going to create a report for all of our agents. We don't have that many of them. So with this sort of fast forward button here, you can see they're all brought across. And then rather than using this button that made the one-time report, I'm going to work over here on the left of the screen. And I'll give it a nice obvious name, weekly. Let's call it weekly all agents. And as you can see, we've got these common time periods in this drop-down menu. So the reports will be sent at the beginning of whatever that period is. So for a weekly report, it will come early on a Monday morning. Monthly, it will come early on the first day of the month, and so on. And I have this set up, as soon as this was ready, I set this up for our own team, and I get a weekly report for me and the other people who do our support. So you can add just one email address in here. You can add multiple ones. I'll just go ahead with one, and then you just click save. It's very easy. And then as you can see, it gives you this, it comes down here, and it's, as you may have noticed, it was briefly highlighted in green. So it made it really obvious what's the new one that we just added. And you can very simply review, what are the values in here, who are going to, for whom are these reports created and to what email addresses are they sent. Now you can do things that are more sophisticated than that. For example, maybe you want to send certain reports to line managers. So you're going to make reports to these 3 people and send them to, 1 individual. And then you're going to make reports to these different 4 people and send them to another person. It's really up to you. You'll find the pattern that works for your company. If you ever need to remove them, maybe you want to remake them, maybe you just don't need a certain automation anymore, you can just click on the red X there and it will be deleted. And, so far I've been mostly talking about sending these internally, but you may, something you might want to do, and this was suggested by at least one partner, is they'd actually like to send these to the client. So you could create, an automation for this client here, AdaptABiz, and you could actually send it to them. So, let's say maybe more on a monthly or quarterly basis, you could actually send their CSAT results, CSAT comments straight to them. And with client reports, you'll see you also have the option of including NPS in there as well. And if you don't want to include the individual comments, you can just send the top line metrics. And then the final ones that we mentioned were segments, so boards, if you're in ConnectWise Manage. You'll notice that some of these options change here. So segments and agents, because they're specific to support tickets, they don't include NPS, just CSAT. And you can even include a leaderboard. So if you want to show agents how they rank against their peers, you can do that. Obviously, it's up to you. Some companies really like this kind of friendly competition, gamification, whatever you want to call it. But this gives you an option of doing that with Smileback. Okay, so I don't think we got any questions yet, but that's fine. There'll be plenty of time for them at the end. Yeah, I'm going to go back to my presentation then, and we'll talk a bit more about what you could actually do, once you've created these reports and how you can use that in your business. So yeah, I mentioned quarterly business reviews. You might not call them QBRs, you might not do them quarterly, but I think a lot of companies, a lot of managed services companies, or other companies who are in this sort of long-term, relationship type business with their clients have some kind of regular review meeting with those clients. And sorry. And as we were talking about earlier, you need to if you're collecting this data from them, then you need to use it, right? What these reports help you do is create a grounding, really, for those business review meetings. It gives you actual real data that came from their company, from their staff, that you can then talk about. So you're not just saying, you're not just having conversations where they're saying, oh, well, we feel this, or, we think this. You can say, these are the actual reviews, we got from your company, and, we can see that people are really happy with it. Or you can say, we know that there were some issues around kind of X, and, we saw the score go down, and here's the action we took about it. And here's what we're doing to make it better in the future, for example. So it helps you, as I said, ground it in real data, have a kind of an evidence-led discussion. And I know from talking to our partners that can be very powerful. That can help them a lot. And a story that I've heard more than once over the years from different partners is, their client, their contact there is telling them, oh, we're just not sure, we're not really happy about this. Just don't think it's really going very well. But they're able to look at the CSAT data, or the NPS data more recently, from the staff there, and they're actually able to say, look, the responses we're getting are, overwhelmingly happy. When we hear from your colleagues, they're mostly happy with what we're doing. So, maybe there are some people who aren't talking to us, in which case you need to make use of the channels we have, like Smileback and your other communications channels, to tell us. Or maybe actually, things are going better than you think. So people have told me that they can use that kind of information to really help sometimes turn around quite difficult conversations with clients. Yeah, and then the last part then I mentioned earlier on, identifying areas for improvement. This is obviously an important part of business review meetings with clients. So, you can say, you can have an honest discussion and say, we know that people have had some concerns about speed of responses, communications. We know that our score went down. But because we know, we've noticed this and we know this, and here's what we're doing about it. Obviously, the here's what we're doing about it part, Smileback can't tell you what to do there. I can definitely give you ideas about it, but you can use the data from Smileback to start that discussion in your business, and then work from it. And then that goes for internal meetings as well. So, I mentioned monthly meetings, weekly meetings. And like I say, what we do in Smileback is we review as a team when we've got a neutral or negative CSAT response, if we've had seen our NPS go down, or even just had some comments through NPS that were about, issues. We have a conversation, say, why do we think we got this? Where did we go wrong? Or, was it just a temporary thing, which we just had to deal with at the time, it's done now? Or is it something we can learn from in the future? And it often is the case where we go, you know what, we could do this, we could make sure people are better equipped to answer this question, or we could, improve this thing technically because it's causing confusion. And, that leads to some very, very productive discussions, and having that kind of regular reporting enables that. So the point of what we've done with these new schedule reports is to make the important but sort of tedious work of like logging in and making reports and all that, make that easier so that you can get that data consistently, and then you can do the higher value work of discussing it with your team, talking about how to improve, or discussing it with the clients. You can focus more time on that and less time on the managing the data and getting it out and using it in that way. So I'm just going to, here we are. I'm just checking the chat and I see we've got some questions. So Dale has asked about creating reports on a different time frame. So Thursday to Wednesday, because you have a staff meeting on Thursday. That's not something that's in there at the moment, Dale. As I was showing, we went with quite, let's say, traditional or obvious things like Monday to Sunday weeks, whole months. One possibility is we could look at a custom selection in there. So let you choose the timeframes. Another possibility would be to possibly use one of Smileback's other features. So for example, we have a Power BI connector, we have a Brightgauge integration, and we even have an API, and you can use those to create reports, dashboards, with they're maybe a bit more customized. So, but if you drop me an email, I'm happy to discuss that with you. I can talk through some ideas with you if you'd like. So yeah, if anyone has any other questions, you drop them into the chat or drop them into the Q&A. Okay, so Dale does have a current workaround. That's good. Like I say, we will, this is a, this is something we created quite recently. We will look again. We do look at tweaking things. So, we can consider also putting some kind of custom date selector in there as well. Okay, so Andre is asking, is there a way to report on projects based on tickets phases? That is a great and very, very, very timely question, Andre. We are actually currently looking at adding another type of, another survey specifically for projects. So right now, what we do, there is a way of using CSAT to send surveys during projects, and I could send you some information about that, but we're looking at making a dedicated project survey. So I would be very interested in me or one of my colleagues talking to you and finding out a bit more information about what you're looking for and what you do at the moment, because that is something we are hoping to release later this year. Okay, and Stephen is also interested in having a bit more flexibility with timing. So thanks for that, Stephen. Yuri is my colleague who's behind the scenes here. Yuri, if you could make sure you save this chat, because there's a lot of good comments and suggestions in here. Sorry about the siren. So Andre is asking, would you separate the overall CSAT from project versus service tickets? What we have in mind is to create something where, yeah, you can capture that separately. But you can actually, if you're using projects in ConnectWise Manage, you can put the CSAT survey in there. So what you can do is create a template, much like for the service tickets, and basically create a ticket at the end of the phase or the end of the project specifically to trigger a survey out. We can send you some information on doing that. What we have in mind for adding something dedicated, though, is to add some kind of dedicated project survey, which would get have its own kind of format, its own place in the app. But we, would eventually also have a way of seeing them at least next to each other, but probably not mixed together. Thanks, Andre. So if anyone is looking to book a call with us, Yuri has dropped a link into the chat there where you can schedule a call. If you're watching this on the recording, I'll make sure this is in the description of the video. Okay, well, we're at about 30 minutes. I can keep talking for longer, but if we've got no more questions, I'll wrap it up here. We'll be sending out the recording of this webinar. We'll get it together. We'll put it on YouTube or on our content hub, and we'll send it out to you. So if you want to watch any of this back, that'll be available. My colleague Yuri has dropped several useful links into the chat while we've been talking, so do take a look at those. As I say, if you're watching a recording of this, those will be in the video description or in the comments underneath. Okay, well, thank you very much for joining us. Thanks for bearing with us at the beginning. Sorry, it took us a couple of minutes to get it going there. And do look out for emails from us. We do webinars every month. We'll be doing one next month, and we're going to be looking more closely at doing scorecards. So some of the themes I touched on today, we'll be going deeper into that. So thanks very much and have a great rest of your week. You're welcome, Terry and Stephen. Thank you. Bye-bye.